Hello everybody, this is Billy MC and welcome to my next game show vlog I'm doing for you guys here. If you caught my previous live stream where I ranked all of Chuck Woolery's game shows, all the game shows he's hosted throughout his career, you heard me sing the praises of Greed. Oh, my favorite game show, one of my favorite game shows, probably my top 10 game shows of all time. Probably the best of the game show boom of late 99 and late 1999, early 2000. As much as awesome as that show was, if it wasn't for the success of Millionaire, we wouldn't have had Greed, we wouldn't have the reboot of 21, Winning Lines, or It's Your Chance of a Lifetime. We would have had none of that. And there's no denying the awesomeness of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Great game, great host in Regis Philbin, dramatic music, tense music, awesome sound effects, great staging, awesome advertised top prize of $1 million. It was an overnight sensation. It was a big hit over in the UK a year prior. 1 year later, it was a hit over here in America. Unfortunately, it got subject to seasonal rot. They started overexposing Millionaire. ABC did. Then eventually went to syndication, and then it was good. They hit on syndication for a while, but then they started tinkering with the format a bit, changing the lifelines and all that stuff. We'll get into that a little bit later here. But nonetheless, though, Millionaire had a big impact here in the States, its homeland in UK, and everywhere worldwide. And I actually had some unique Millionaire experiences myself here, and I thought I'd go ahead and make a video, a vlog, sharing these experiences with you guys in light of the belated celebration of a 25th anniversary of the U.S. debut of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Now, I never made it on the show as a contestant, unfortunately. I wasn't even an audience member, but I had some opportunities. I definitely had some opportunities. I'm going to share them with you right now, starting with number one, which is kind of non-canon with the television version, either the ABC or the syndicated version. This is actually the old Who Wants to Be a Millionaire play-it attraction, the live version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire that ran at Disney MGM Studios. There's also one over in California Adventure as well. I went to the one down in Disney MGM Studios. It was in March of 2006. This was 5 months before Disney closed it down and made way for Toy Story Mania eventually. So it was, we only got to go this one time with myself, my mother, and my father were there. We got front row seats, great seats to see all the action. And how that worked was everyone has their keypads, just like kind of like what you do when you ask the audience. Everyone plays the fastest finger with that keypad, and whoever has the fastest time and had it in the correct order in the fastest time got to go in the hot seat, just like you saw on TV. Except everyone, the whole audience plays the fastest finger. And I remember the first contestant who got the fastest time decided not to turn down his opportunity. He was an older man. He turned down the opportunity. He didn't want to play. So they went to the second fastest time on the list there. It was a younger lady around my age, and she made it to the 32,000 point question. That's another thing. You're not playing for dollars in that. You didn't play for dollars in that game, as there's a live version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. You played for like Disney pins and hats and T-shirts and hoodies, and the ultimate grand prize if you won the million point question, the $1 million question, would be instead of $1 million, you won a Disney cruise, a fabulous Disney cruise. That was a great prize. Would be a great prize to win. Unfortunately, the contestant didn't get all the way. I think they went for it at the 32,000 question. I don't think she used all of her lifelines out, if I remember correctly. I don't recall if she used her phone a friend, which I think was just some random phone outside of the park there with a cast member picking up. I can't remember how that worked. But she did. Nevertheless, unfortunately, she didn't make it all the way. But she did get some bunch of pins and of course like the t-shirt, I think a pendant as well. So a couple of great prizes. And unfortunately, I didn't realize this, but it turned out to be a moot point anyway, because they only had time for one game on the one time I went there. But had they had time for a second game or a third game, they kept track your score. If you kept playing along with the keypad, answering the questions with the contestant, and if it's time for another contestant, you got to go in the hot seat and play a game. But and I didn't do that. I just watched the show. I just watched a contestant do their thing the whole time. But nonetheless, it was a great time. I'm glad we got in. I can't remember if it was announced at that time if the attraction was closing or if that came a few months later. But nonetheless, the timing couldn't have been better. We came in just snuck in under the wire there to see that amazing show at Disney MGM Studios. That was a great time, even though I didn't get in the hot seat. Still a good time. So then, following year 2006, took a break from Millionaire, went to California instead to see Bob Barker just before he retired. I uploaded my episode where I was in the audience for that, and I'll put that up here somewhere. Then 2008, I decided to go back to Millionaire. They were doing a contestant searches all over the country for their upcoming season in August. So this was August of 2008. This was around the time they were switching to the clock format, which I'll get to that in a minute here. But this audition that I went to was over at the Arundel Mills Mall. Was it Hanover, Maryland, I believe it is. It's in Anne Arundel County. And this is an interesting place where they held these auditions. This was at the Medieval Times in the Arundel Mills Mall. So they had the auditions that we have in line, and they went into the stadium there with like the medieval, the castle set up and everything. That was great. Very interesting to see that have a audition in that area. And how that worked now was we all took our seats, and in front of us we got Who Wants to Be a Millionaire pencils and Who Wants to Be a Millionaire magnets with a number on. So we had the Scantron sheet. So I felt I felt at home with that Scantron sheet because I was still in college. That's very familiar to me. Scantrons and taking a test like that. So I knew not to fill in the circles or the squares, rectangles without going out of lines, being very neat about it. They had a question packet, and then they were telling the guy, I can call it the proctor. I think it's like a contestant coordinator, but it's even more like a proctor, I guess, when you're talking about like Scantrons and all that. So we were told there were two of them actually. One was for the regular show, and one was for $1 Million Movie Week. So I think we took the movie test first, then the regular one, or was it the other way around? I can't remember. So we took the test. Both of them. Then we handed our Scantrons in, and then during that time, the contestant coordinators talking to the people, the audience, and one time they're actually throwing out Who Wants to Be a Millionaire T-shirts, like it's a sporting event or something like that. Appropriate because it's kind of like in a stadium of sorts, a medieval times theater and all that stuff. So we were getting throwing out T-shirts. I missed out. Like only a few random people in the audience got some T-shirts. I don't think like 10 or 15 T-shirts or something like that. Didn't get that, but what we did get though. Actually, let me go fast forward a bit. So they announced so I mentioned the numbers that were on your magnets there. You put your name, you put your number on the magnet there, on the Scantron sheet rather. Then they would list, call out the numbers of the people who passed the test, either first the movie test, then the regular test. My number wasn't called, unfortunately. I didn't make the cut. I didn't make it past the first round, either one, movie or the regular version. But you know what? All was not lost though, because we got to keep our pencils, the magnets, and because Netflix was a sponsor of the $1 Million Movie Week, everyone in that audience, I think, got a 1 week trial of Netflix. Unfortunately, I didn't have Netflix at the time, so that unfortunately didn't go. I didn't put that to good use, but hey, I got some freebies. Still got some freebies out of it. Even though I lost, everyone still won. So hey, it was not lost after all. I was looking for. I was trying to find my Millionaire magnet and pencil. I don't know if I have it anymore. If I kept it around, if I stumble across it, I'll post it up here somewhere. But so we got some prizes anyway. Even though I didn't make it, not all of us made it to the show. So that was but still, hey, good time though. Good time with that experience. Then 2009, almost 1 year later, August, yeah, pretty much 1 year later, when the 10th anniversary of the U.S. version of Millionaire came about. They're doing ABC did a special week of shows in honor of that. And coming off the success of the movie Slumdog Millionaire. I gotta watch that movie. I heard great things about that film. That'd be a good, fun film to watch. But anyway, so for the 10th anniversary, they had a couple of ways to audition for that. I think you can audition like you did for the syndicated version at the time. I think you could send in video and submit it to them. Then you get a test online. But they also brought back just like as was the case for the original run back from 99 to 2000, they also had the phone game, which you could play, which is a series of fastest finger questions you answer, and if you answer enough in the fastest amount of time, I think there's a whole series of them. Then you move on to the next round with another series of fastest finger questions. I think that's how the process worked. But again, just as was the case with the Millionaire Play It, I struggled with this, like on my phone. Like, okay, do I do? Okay, so is this first? No. And that time you only have like, I think 10. You only had like 10 seconds to answer. So, and you're really put on the spot there at home, even when you're not in front of millions of people, hundreds of people in the studio audience, and like millions around the country. So I tried it twice, and after the second time, I was like, you know what? I'd give up. I'm just gonna watch the show, enjoy the show at home, and of course, I mentioned the clock format here. It was introduced 1 year earlier on the syndicated version for the 10th anniversary edition. With Regis came back to host, and the clock format was used here. So it was 15 questions for the first tier, then 30 seconds for the second tier, and then the last tier, 45 seconds. When we got to the $1 million question, it was 45 plus any extra time left over from the previous 14 questions. And we all know during this special run of shows, it was probably infamous for having the very first contestant on any American version of the show go for the $1 million question and miss it. Ken Basin. It was about what beverages did LBJ have at his on his desk at the Oval Office, and the correct answer was Fresca. I forgot what the other choices were, but he decided to go for it, and he lost. The first one to lose missed the $1 million, answered the $1 million question incorrectly. So that's so it's a memorable week of shows. It was definitely a memorable week. Patricia Heaton was on there. Remember, at the end of every episode during that time, they had a special celebrity come on to play for charity, and she struggled with a math question there. We just helped her out as much as she could, and they eventually got there, and she got it right. But that was a very interesting week of episodes to watch there. But and after that, I stuck around with it. I just watched it with the clock format. Some people don't look back too fondly. They weren't too fond of the clock format. I was okay with it. You know, the essence of Millionaire was still there. You still had the original themes, all be kind of remixed a bit. You still had the hot seat. You still had everything else was still intact. 15 questions. I think they also had categories to the questions as well. So you had an idea of what you're answering. And then following year, 2010, when they switched to the shuffle format, where they shuffle the questions and the dollar amount, so you could answer like the $25,000 question and get the easiest question on the board. It was all random here, and I think at that point I watched a few episodes, and at that point I was like, okay, this is not Millionaire. You got rid of the hot seat. You got a weird looking table instead of the hot seat. They changed the music. It just started feeling less and less like Millionaire. Then they started changing out hosts, they changed out like I mentioned, Cedric the Entertainer. I think they're trying to capitalize on Steve Harvey's success with Family Feud, and it just wasn't working out. Terry Crews came in, then Chris Harrison came in. He took it the rest of the way. At that point, they went back to the original format. Still 14 questions as when they first introduced the shuffle format 5 years prior, but it gave them a few more years out of that. But at that point, it was time to call it good, and it's come back a couple times with Jimmy Kimmel and all that. But it's mostly just celebrities nowadays that's they're playing that show whenever it comes back. Yeah. So anyway, those some unique experiences there. Unfortunately, never made it as a contestant, but still had a lot of fun nonetheless. At least trying to be a contestant. So some great memories to share. I'm glad I got a chance to share them with you. Did you have any experiences with Who Wants to Be a Millionaire in yourself? Did you try to be a contestant? Did you play the phone game or whatever? Did you attend the taping? Let me anywhere around the world. Let me know in the comments below. And next time, next video. Well, I don't know if it's gonna be the next video, but video down the line sometime soon. Hopefully before New Year's Day. I hope we talked about Millionaire. We talked about Greed. How about the other ones? How do they stack? How all these shows stack up? That's going to be my next tier maker list. We're going to rank all the big money game shows from late 99 to early 2000 that tried to copy Millionaire's formula. And we'll see how they all rank on the tier maker. That's going to be a good one too. So until then, this is Billy MC saying goodbye.